A federal judge has blocked key parts of Trump's executive orders that attack diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. But what does it mean? The ruling blocks the enforcement of three major provisions. The termination provision that required federal agencies to terminate equity-related grants or contracts within 60 days. It also blocks the certification provision that compelled federal contractors and grant recipients to certify that they do not operate programs the administration might label as DEI. And it blocks the enforcement threat provision that instructs the Attorney General to encourage the private sector to end DEI programs and pursue civil compliance investigations against entities that are deemed non-compliant. So the judge said that these things are just too vague and broad, and when things are too vague and broad, people over-comply and self-censor because they're guessing and using their own judgments and biases to interpret the meaning of these parts of these executive orders. If you remember about the chilling effect, that's that. But even with this legal block in place now, the damage started from the second those orders were signed. Not only because these orders embolden people to be racist and discriminatory, but because executive orders have to be acted on right away unless they are dated to go into effect later, or they require a bunch of infrastructure or processes to be put into place. People say executive orders are not laws, but both executive orders and proclamations have the force of law. Executive orders are not legislation, meaning they don't need approval from Congress, and Congress can't simply overturn them. But also, executive orders cannot override federal laws and statutes, which is where we're seeing these blocks come into place. They're saying the parts of these anti-diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility executive orders violate the Constitution. It's a little confusing, but it's not as simple as saying, oh, executive orders are just a wish list. Why is the government following these things? They aren't laws. Just after these orders were signed, the Department of Education put all sorts of DEI leaders on paid leave, canceled $2.6 million in DEI training contracts, and wiped out tons of reports and guides on DEI policies. That's a huge impact, and it happened immediately. Even though the courts have now stepped in to stop it, the harm was being done already. So while we wait for the legal battles to play out, it's a good reminder that even if executive orders aren't technically laws, they can still cause real damage as soon as they're signed. So how does this all affect this? Well, it doesn't seem like it does. But that's also as of this time on this day. So hang on and I'll do a breakdown of what's going on with that as of today.